Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us tonight on this great occasion. And you know, the Candy Singers, my goodness, I think you sounded better than ever. I'm not surprised. But thank you to our international guests, Raisa and Walden, for coming all the way to participate in this 30th anniversary. And to all former KDP comrades, welcome. Thank you also for coming. And the rest of you, thank you for joining us tonight on this 30th anniversary memorial of the assassinations of Jean and Silme. As many of you, all of you know, Jean and Silme were officers, newly elected officers in the ILWU Local 37. And as Romy said, they were leaders of the Rank and File Committee, which, you know, was organized to rid the union, the local, of corruption and to put back democratic principles and changes for not only the workers but in the industry as well. And we ran on a slate, which Emma mentioned last night, that she was elected on that first slate in 1978, the first woman on the executive board of ILWU Local 37. And we won a few positions on the board that first time around. And then in 1980, we ran a full slate and swept every position except the president position. And of course, I think for all of us in retrospect, that was a mistake. I should have ran everything and won everything. But you know, we were young and naive, really, in those days. We thought that somehow we couldn't beat Tony Barroso, or that we didn't have the experience or the expertise to fill that position. But I think we all know now that we probably really did have that experience. But Silme, before we ran in 1980, he had been appointed to the position of Secretary-Treasurer, and so he was elected as Secretary-Treasurer position, and Jean Viernes to the dispatch position, and myself and many others in this room were elected to the executive board. And we had only begun to implement the reform program on the day that they were murdered. In fact, that was the first dispatch of the season. It was the first time we were implementing a fair dispatch system, and certainly they took advantage of that weakness in us. But being that we were also political activists, Silme and Jean were members of the KDP, you know, we brought many of those issues to the union and educated the membership around because the local at the time was predominantly Filipino. We used that as an opportunity to bring our politics to the union. And fortunately, our politics found a home in the ILWU. The ILWU being a more left-leaning union and had a long history of supporting trade union rights abroad and opposition to a lot of foreign dictatorships. In fact, our union was one of the first to not unload cargo from El Salvador during the war, to boycott, to coffee boycott, to not unload cargo from South Africa. We have a long, proud tradition and history of international solidarity. So when we brought the resolution to the ILWU convention in 1981 to call for a delegation to go to the Philippines to look at and investigate the situation of workers there, we didn't think it was an uncommon thing to bring. In fact, would probably be something that would easily pass within the ILWU. But what we were soon to find out was that actually that resolution was the one thing that the Marcos dictatorship feared. And partly it was because of the history of the ILWU and the connections through the KDP and through the Philippine movement that we had built, those strong international ties to the Philippines, and the threat that if the longshore decided to not unload cargo or to stop commerce in any way, that could have had a severe blow to the Marcos dictatorship. So it was shortly after that we returned from the ILWU convention in Hawaii, where we did introduce that resolution and it passed, that the murder happened. But the support, the ILWU continued to support the KMU for years after that, which was one of the largest federations in the Philippines. And to this day, we continue to work on and build international solidarity that is so important, I think, as we all realize, as a global economy that we're looking at. It's more and more important now more than ever to continue to build those ties and to continue to support workers internationally. And I'm proud to say that our union continues to do that. I do, as Romy said, I'm fortunate now to sit on International Transport Workers, which is one of the largest international federation of transport workers, and we do have a direct relationship to the Seafarers Union in the Philippines. And so our union continues to build those ties, not only to the Philippines, but to all workers. So thank you again for all coming tonight, for joining us, and we'll reminisce about these next few days. There's a lot of other activities planned, so we'll reflect and reminisce, but also it's a chance for us to also talk about other things that we're doing and the need to continue to build a movement, which I know a lot of you are still engaged in, and I'm so proud and happy to see you all, that you came to support and be a part of this. Thank you.